Woo! Yeah, that is fight night music, ladies and gentlemen, because UFC 284 is right around the corner, everybody. 2 titles on the line, the interim featherweight title on the line of the co-main event, Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett, but all eyes on the main event for the lightweight championship. Islam Makhachev defends against the featherweight champion Alexander the Great Volkanovski to decide who is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter on planet Earth. And UFC 284 is going to kick off in a little bit. But before that happens, we are live for the People's Pre-Fight Show. Thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck here in New York City. In the ATL, my man, Mr. No Gray Area, Jed Bishu.
Fight night, baby. Let's go.
Yes.
I'm excited. I have a take that I've had chambered. I've been sitting on. I wanted to wait until the time was right, and today, right now, the time is right. This pre-fight show.
Oh boy, I know where we're starting this thing. And on the ones and twos, and joining us to answer your questions, the baddest man in California, the baddest stash at MMA, Casey Leydon.
Oh, Mr. 3024!
That's me. Yay. So happy to be here, gentlemen. So happy to be here.
Yes. So, I mean, Jed, I guess I'll ask the first question. What does this take? You can't just tee it up like that and then just wait and hope somean asks you.
Oh no, it was gonna get out there. It was pretty easy that this take was gonna come out. Look, I've thought about it a lot. Spent a lot of time. I didn't want to let my emotions get the best of me. And I'll be frank, I didn't want to say this take too early because I've been catching it in the teeth all week for some other takes of mine. Islam Makhachev is about to beat the shit out of Alexander Volkanovski. And I don't believe in half measures. I have a lot of tenets that I like to live by, and one of them is if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. There's no reason for me to come here and be like, well, Alexander Volkanovski is very good, and I don't know anything. No. I've been on the Islam Makhachev corner since day one, and I am going to be carrying the flag this weekend. So all of you watching, feel free to come talk that shit to me if I am wrong. But I don't think this is going to be competitive. I think we are about to see Islam Makhachev just run right on over Alexander Volkanovski, and everyone's going to be like, oh, this was kind of dumb. This was a bit of a waste of our time, and we should have always seen that this was the outcome. So I'm ready to catch it coming back if I'm wrong. But if I'm not, buddy, I'm gonna be here forever.
Oh boy. Are you on the post-fight show? Please tell me you're on the post-fight show.
I am.
Oh, good. The beginning of the post-fight show is going to be magical, one way or the other.
It'll be terrible or great for me, one or the other.
You'll be here for the post-presser too, right?
Yeah, doing the post-pressure with you. So, that'll be just me getting it all up and down if I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be. I really don't. It was my first read on this fight. After diving into the tape, I was like, this is still what I see. But then a lot of people who I respect think this is a much closer fight. And a lot of fighters seem to think this is really close. And I'm just like, I don't know. Alexander Volkanovski can't touch him. He has to not get engaged the entire fight because the moment, but like we've all just forgotten that like the people Islam has run over are also very good fighters. It's just like, yeah. I remember we tried to talk ourselves into Bobby Green's been fighting for a really long time. He's got pretty good takedown defense. He knows how to defensively grapple. Didn't look like it. Looked like a white belt in there because this isn't the same game, baby. It's just not. There are levels, and Islam Makhachev is about to level all over Volkanovski tonight. Let's go.
Was it the face-off? Was there a moment they kind of like, all right, I gotta go all in?
No, honestly, this week I have been feeling it. I just haven't wanted to say it because I've said like it just felt like I was really bagging on Volkanovski a lot, which I guess I probably was. But like I'll be honest, the thing that sold me, that took away any doubts that I had, Casey, was the embeddeds. And like, this is all the way armchair psychologist, but not even Volkanovski is like how he's looked, because I don't think he's looked afraid or anything like that. The calm and ease that Islam Makhachev has about him, that is a man who knows what is up. that is, man's like, yeah, this is nothing. Like they wanted this too, because I think we have not talked enough about, they didn't have to take this fight. It was not Volkanovski's beating down the door. He was there, but they called for it. They called for it in Perth because I think they know. I think they're like, we know that this is actually like a very, very good fight for us. It will launch us into the place we want to be. And I think it was Luke Thomas that I was listening to earlier this week about, the Abdul Manap guys. They really relish that F your feelings shit. And I think that that's what we're at here. Like, that this man is not concerned about going and fighting Volkanovski in Perth. He wanted it, and he is carrying himself the most calm I've ever seen a human being in the world. I think he knows. I think he knows he's got this in the bag, and I think he has it in the bag.
Well, we will see. And if you have differing opinions, this is the People's Pre-Fight Show.
Let me know.
Questions, thoughts, bring them up here, and let's go. We're gonna address all of your comments and questions, or not all of them, but as many as we can. But once the first fight kicks off, we will be done because I gotta go across the street. So, all right, let's do this thing.
All right. Let me see. I was so caught up in this hot take. I didn't even like.
He's gonna kill him, man. I really think that this is gonna be maybe not like kill him, but in the same way the Oliveira fight was not competitive, it's gonna be just like, oh, one of these guys has nothing to offer here, really.
If someone wins with just kind of one-way traffic, you don't see Volk winning one-way traffic.
Zero chance. The thing, like that's the thing that really, when I watched the tape, that really got me, is just like, I remember going into the Oliveira fight, and honestly, Mike, when I rethought about some of the stuff you said about like Oliveira is such an interesting matchup for Makhachev because he just has the chaos card to play. Volkanovski didn't have the chaos card at all, and honestly, I think that's kind of the only way to beat him, because I cannot, until I see someone physically defeat Khabib, Islam, that core of people, by just being better, just top to bottom better than him, which we have literally never seen. Adrian Martinez caught him with the chaos clause. Volkanovski has never had the chaos clause. That is not what he does. He is a control merchant. He owns every aspect of that fight, and I don't think he's going to get to do it. And it's so he can't. He's a better striker. I honestly think Islam can have success in the striking just because he can hit him harder. And at some point, Islam will make the calculation, if it even gets that far, of this dude can't really hurt me on the feet, because he hasn't. Again, Volkanovski, a tremendous fighter, absolutely taking people to school, but he didn't really like hurt, Brian Ortega or Max Holloway on the feet. He beat him over time with repetitive damage. If in the first round Makhachev eats a clean shot and just like, oh, yeah, this little dude can't hurt me at all, I'm just going to get in his face and see what happens. And it's like, that's just going to be a really bad day for him. So that's where I'm at. I could look like the world's biggest jackass in 8 hours or whatever, but that's where I feel. And I wanted to make it known. So after, when it does happen and I'm right, nobody can be like, well, you were equivocating all week. No, my flag is planted. Makhachev one way, baby.
All right. First question.
Do you think Volk actually has a shot to win?
Which is why I say that my take was going to get out there, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think he does have a chance to win. But like both of you just said, and I completely agree, if this is a one-way traffic fight, it will not be one-way traffic for Volkanovski. This will be a Holloway 2-esque kind of fight where it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be a fight where Makhachev clearly wins the first 2 rounds. Volk's in the corner. We're like, man, he's going to do something, and then figures it out over the next 3 and just chips away and hangs on and like steals one. But I honestly, I think skill for skill, he matches up with Makhachev better than Oliveira does. Because everything on paper, and I said this throughout the entire build of the Oliveira fight, everything on paper told me that Makhachev should do exactly what he did, but it was just the chaos. Oliveira thrives on it. He's outmanned in like every one of his wins. He gets hurt, he gets stung, he gets dropped. Looks like he's going to be done, and then somehow, I don't know how he did it. He just kept doing it, and I just kept playing that card. I'm like, well, every time I pick against this man, the fight goes the way I think he's going to go, and then he does something absolutely insane and ends up winning the fight. And I was like, well, everything on paper, everything tells me Makhachev kills him. Everything. But
is that the GOAT, Casey?
That is the
yes.
GOAT.
The GOAT.
Iconic voice. The iconic voice. But I do think he has a shot. The way I call it, and we'll talk about it more later, is I think Makhachev has success early. I think his fight IQ comes through, wins a couple rounds, it goes to 5, and then Makhachev's just like, all right, what are we doing here? Takes him down, sits on him, beats him up. Volk eventually gets back to his feet, tries to rally, and it's just not going to happen. So that's the way I see it, and I could be wrong too, but I think this fight is much more competitive on paper than the Oliveira fight. Casey, what do you think?
I'm leaning more toward what Jed said, that there has to be kind of a chaos factor in it, and basically the chaos factor being Volk has to land very early in the fight just a big overhand shot, something that's really gonna just shake Islam and just kind of he just won't be the same fighter, and then he'll maybe win a decision, but he needs to fight chaotically, and basically he has to fight a way that we haven't seen him fight before. And that's going to be a big risk to do against someone like Islam. But, I like this fight. I don't like the timing of this fight. Like right now, Jed, where would you rank Volkanovski in the 55 division? If you just had if you don't think he'll beat Islam, where do you think he actually is? Is he a top 10 fighter? Is he a top 5 fighter?
Yes.
Top 2 fighter?
He's going to be a top 10 fighter for sure. The problem with lightweight and, to a lesser extent bantamweight and such is just like at any point in time, any top 25 fighter could give anybody in the top 10 hell. So like I would pick Volk to beat a lot of lightweights, but also it wouldn't at all surprise me if like I think I would pick him to beat Justin Gaethje. But I think that fight is unbelievably close because like Gaethje hits impossibly hard. And so that's something that Volkanovski hasn't really had to deal with, frankly. Like who's the hardest hitter Volkanovski's faced? Probably Brian Ortega. And like Brian Ortega, it hits okay, but like Brian Ortega versus Justin Gaethje is a very different level of getting hit in the face by punches, So it's like that is another part of it too. Is like when I started to really look at who Volkanovski's beaten, it hasn't been. They've been incredible, like offensively potent guys, but just not in the same sort of way that Makhachev is. And so, I don't know. I think Arman Tsarukyan would be a really fun fight for Volkanovski because they're both kind of small and stocky and have limitless gas tanks, but. It wouldn't shock me if he beat anybody in the lightweight division, frankly. But I don't know that I'd pick him to beat a Jalen Turner. That would be a comical matchup of physicalities, right? Like I don't, and that's at some point those are problems that I don't think you can overcome. And so like at top 10, I feel okay saying that. Maybe top 5, but all of those are really tough fights for him.
Yeah, a big.
I think Oliveira is the best fight for him at lightweight. Like I think that is the most winnable one for him at lightweight.
Yeah, huge. A big factor in this fight too is that Makhachev has the advantage in a lot of ways, like with the skills, especially the grappling and the wrestling, the size, which I don't think is that big. It's going to be a factor, but I don't think it's as big of a factor as people are making it out to be. But to me, just skill for skill. Volk has to be absolutely 100% perfect tonight. Perfect. Like he can't, and Makhachev doesn't. Makhachev does not have to be perfect.
Did you read my breakdown? Because that's basically the crux of my breakdown is Volkanovski can win this, but he has to have a great to perfect night. Makhachev just has to have a good one. Like if he doesn't have a bad night, he's got a really good chance to win. If Makhachev's dialed in, that's a wrap, baby. If a perfect versus perfect, Makhachev wins this fight. So it's just what we get in that regard.
Yeah, I am still very fascinated by it, by the game plan Volk's and his team have put together. What are they going to do? Like, I'm very curious just to see what he does. And I'm very curious, and I know you and GC talked about it on No Bets Barred, and we actually had like a fun prop question with Calvin Cater yesterday. Like,
I listened. It was a great show. Calvin Cater just throwing reckless shade. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody except for the guys in the co-main event. I'm going to disrespect them a lot. It was awesome.
Especially the one guy with the beard.
Yeah. You're caught kind of strays as a result of that. It was awesome, though.
Yes. But I wonder if Volk, because one of the prop questions we asked is who's going to shoot the first takedown in this fight? Because it seems like Makhachev's the easy answer, but Volk could just be like, all right, just show it, and maybe he lands one and just gets back up. He's like, see, dude, I can take you down too. I don't think he wants to play around down there, but if he could take him down and get right back up and just be like, give him something to think about, that could be a nice little wrinkle to this one.
So I listened to the show, and you know that I've long theorized that actually the best way to beat like Khabib and Islam is to just proactively engage the wrestling, because that's at least taking them out of something that they're wildly comfortable doing. I think that probably is less true for Islam because he trained with Khabib his whole life, who was the guy initiating takedowns for the most part. I think that it would be a really bad idea for Volkanovski. I thought for a minute, I was like, that could be an interesting wrinkle. I think anytime he is engaged with Makhachev is really bad for him. And I could be all the way wrong. And if I am, then this fight is going to change very quickly. Like if he can compete and hold his own in tie-ups, then that changes the fight fundamentally and makes it much more likely that he can win. But I think willingly getting into clinches and tie-ups with Makhachev is giving Makhachev positions that he wants, because he's really good. I mean, we think of Makhachev as the same style of takedown artist as Khabib, a chain wrestler along the fence, and that is absolutely part of his game. He also has a number of really good throws from overgrips and working inside. And I think engaging in a tie-up with Makhachev of your own volition is probably catastrophically bad.
Oh, you don't want to mess around in that game. Just you see an opening for an open shot, take it, put him on his back, and then stand right back up. Like that's what I think.
If you get a clean double shot, game. Maybe, but
but that's the only way I would see him engaging in offensive wrestling at all in this fight. Honestly,
if you also he has to be ready to break. If it's a clean reactive double or whatever, and he can get the finish, turn the corner immediately, great. If he can't, and he's trying to run the pipe and then chain wrestle himself, I think that's bad for him. He might succeed, or it might work out for him, but I don't think that is a statistically good maneuver for you.
Okay.
Contact is lava. He has got to create space at all points in time.
That's great.
All right. I kind of like questions like this.
All right. Who on the main card has the most to lose tonight, Jed Meshew?
Ooh. It has to be Josh Emmett, right?
Yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer.
If he loses, that's the end of his title aspirations as a fighter. So he will never get another title shot. He's like 38. This one is a little wonky in general. So, yeah, I think that's pretty clearly the number one guy.
Yeah. You can make a case for both of them, but Emmett's number one and Yair's probably number two.
So you're saying
Yair's only 30.
No.
Yes, Parker Porter will be fine. Everyone loves Parker Porter. Yair's only 30 is the thing. He could get his way back into a title shot. Obviously, it is a lot to lose, but I think Josh Emmett is the clear choice here.
Yeah. This is for Mr. Meshew.
What 3 fights would you parlay on this card, Jed?
Dude, that's actually a super tough question because I don't feel super great about any straight parlays. Let me pull up some odds here. So the one parlay I have, gave it out on No Bets Barred. I've got over 1.5 rounds in the main event, over 2.5 rounds in the co-main event, and then over 2.5 rounds with Loma Lupbanmi versus Elise Reed. And pays out like plus 127. And I like that because I think all of those. But if you're just looking for straight wagers, I think Loma Lupbanmi is probably an okay parlay piece. But a lot of the dogs feel pretty live, Clitson Rodriguez. I also have a Rodriguez parlay. I have the 2 Rodriguez's parlayed because it's a gimmick and I love gimmicks. But yeah, I think most of the dogs in this card are live to some extent or another. Like Randy Brown, don't think he should be plus 265, So I go with the Rodriguez parlay because it's at least fun, if nothing else.
All right. All right.
Do you think cardio will play a role in the main event? Everyone acting like Dagestani's gas out.
It's like a high-paced fight.
I don't think anybody has like. I don't see either guy like. I don't see Makhachev like gassing out by any means. And I don't think Volkanovski will gas out. But I think if Makhachev has the success that I think he will have early, that if he is able to get a takedown late, it's going to be real tough for Volk to get back up. He just chips away at you. Even if you have a tremendous gas tank, he just finds a way to just chip away at your power sources and just wear you down, frustrate the hell out of you. And I know Volk is very tough to frustrate in a lot of ways, but I think the longer the fight, this is one of the questions that I had, Jen, I'll forward to you. The longer the fight goes, who does it favor more? And the more I think about it, I think it favors Makhachev more. I really do.
Interesting. I think it's Volkanovski in that regard. If I don't necessarily think Islam Makhachev has cardio issues, but we know with absolute certainty that Volk, if the fight's going long, it probably means Volk's getting a lot of the fight that he wants, because if he's not, then I think he's getting finished. And so if he's getting the fight he wants, we know that he can do exactly what he wants to do for 25 minutes and without really giving up anything at all. Similarly, if Makhachev's getting the fight he wants, he could do that forever, but it will only take 8 to 10 minutes probably if that happens. So I don't think cardio will come into play, because I think Makhachev's going to run over him. But I do think that if we get into the 5th round and it's 2-2, like if you told me right now the 5th round will start and it's 1 round apiece, I'd be like, that is probably advantage Volkanovski. Now, that's not like he's for sure going to win, but I probably advantage Volkanovski.
I would agree. If it's 2-2 going to the 5th, yeah, I would think Volkanovski's having a pretty good fight by that point.
Yeah. Like it would be really shocking to me, Mike, if it was 2-2 going into the 5th and it was Volk won the first 2 rounds and then Makhachev won the back 2 rounds. That would be pretty surprising to me.
And I want this
weird.
I want this fight to be close because I want to see what Makhachev does in those situations. Because this fight, we talked about this on the preview show. We've talked about this on other shows, that Volk gets a lot of praise for his fight IQ, mostly because he adjusts so well in the situations. Like the second Max fight is the best example. And Makhachev's fight IQ flies under the radar, and his ability to adapt flies under the radar because he just runs over people, and we don't really get to see those adjustments be made because he never has to make them because he just runs over everybody. So I would like to see his fight IQ, his adaptability, at least at some point in this fight, be on display. Because if Makhachev wins the first round and does Makhachev things, and then Volk adjusts and has a great second and wins that round clearly, I'm going to be so interested to see what Makhachev does in the 3rd round and how he adjusts to everything. Like, I just have so many questions, like just things I want to see that we just haven't seen. Like theories that I have, I want to see them play out, because I feel like Makhachev's fight IQ doesn't get enough credit because he just kills everybody. But that is because of his fight IQ and the game plans and his patience and everything he brings. But I would love to see what his adaptability looks like if the chips get down, even just for a little bit for him at this stage in his career.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be cool. I don't think we will, but that their team has an excellent ability to recognize and adapt that they have never gotten credit for, because they are such inexorable forces that no one can see like that.
Any undercard prospects to keep an eye on tonight?
I like Francisco Prado. I think he's an okay underdog bet. He's taking on
he's got Bruno Ferreira vibes, has he not?
Yeah, he's just like he's looked like he should. He's 11-0 as a prospect. He's like 20, super young. So it'll never surprise me if a 20-year-old like catches an L to a super seasoned veteran like Jamie Malarkey. But he's shown a really well-rounded game on the regional circuit. Dude can grapple pretty aggressively and effectively. He is not by any means a technical striker, but he throws really hard and he's willing. I have no idea what the gas tank looks like. He's been out of the first round like once in his career. And this is a huge step up in competition for him, but he's got all the signs of a guy who can make some noise and be interesting, especially since he's only 20. Like there's so much room to grow there. So he is my choice for guy to watch on the undercard for sure.
Casey?
I know very little about these undercard fighters. I was going to ask you, who is Elvis Brenner?
Elvis Brenner? He's the guy who's going to get killed. He's going to get killed by Zuba. That's really what we know.
I feel
I don't know a ton about him.
He's actually he's a rarity. Yeah. He didn't come through Contender Series. He didn't fight any kind of.
He's a short notice replacement.
Oh, is that what he is? Okay, sorry. Who's your replacement?
Yeah, so
who was he replacing?
He is replacing
Joel
Alvarez.
Oh, that's a much better fight. God, that would have been a much better fight.
All right, okay. There's a reason.
Joel Alvarez rules.
Yeah.
I mean, like the under the radar fighters that I like on the undercard. I mean, it's hard to call Blake Bilder a prospect because he's 32.
He's not. He's 32.
Really? Yeah, he's green in the professional fight ranks because he's only had like 8 of them, I think. And he's coming into his own. So I'm interested to see what he does in this spot. Jack Jenkins is just under 30, so I guess he would somewhat qualify. And I think this is a really good stylistic match for him. But Don Shainis is a dog, and he's not fighting Sadiq Youssef on 5 days' notice and having to cut 71 pounds to get there. So it'll be interesting to see Don Shainis on a full camp, see what he can do, because that dude's just a dog. And that could be a really fun fight. That could be a really fun under the radar fight if Shainis can extend this one and get this one to the halfway point. Because Jack Jenkins with that crowd and I guess the momentum he has coming out of the Contender Series, he's going to come out like a house of fire. And if Don can kind of weather that storm and extend this fight, it's going to be a dog fight. It's going to be fun. So those are probably... Yeah, Jenkins and Bilder, but Bilder's not really a prospect. Jenkins is more prospecty than he is. But I like both those guys.
I mean, Clemson Rodriguez is okay. Especially his flyweight, like it doesn't take that long. But again, most of the other guys are long on the tooth. Like if Melsik Bagdasaryan, he was a K1 dude, but he's also in his 30s. So it's just like, okay, well, I don't think you're the Alex Bejeda guy. You're just going to be okay. You're going to be a solid enough dude. But, just sort of the makeup of this card doesn't have a lot of prospects.
Koulibaly's 28, so he's fun.
I refuse to believe in that man. 5 of his 11 career fights have been split or majority decisions. If you can't win or lose definitively in the regional circuit, I don't have any belief in you.
All right.
I guess also technically Jack Della Maddalena is a prospect. He's a great one though. So shouts to JDM.
Should Tafa Porter really be on the main card? The answer is yes. Hello, of course.
Yeah.
Parker Porter's about to be a star. He's about to be a star. No, I mean, look, we lost Whitaker Costa. We lost Kai Kara France, Alex Perez. This is what the UFC does. They put heavyweight or light heavyweight fights on main cards, especially when other stars who are supposed to be on there are no longer on there. So, yeah, I'm not surprised this one's on the main card. It is kind of strange to look at when they showed the graphics, but probably. I mean, with this layout, I think this is the only heavyweight fight on the card. So, if we're doing UFC math, then it should be on the main card.
This is also the third opponent for Justin Tafa. So good for him, because I don't think him versus Austin Lane was making the main card, but everyone loves Parker Porter.
He's fantastic.
That fight's going to be so fun.
Never has a man gone so far with a physique and a name in the whole sport of MMA.
I was telling GC that, look, we get a Parker Porter fight on the watch party.
Boston Mike? Is Boston Mike coming out?
This might be the only time we ever get it. So
do you have the socks at? I need full Boston Mike out there.
I have as far as wardrobe tonight, I'm not as bold as GC, but
no one is.
What I usually wear. Yeah, compared to what I usually wear, I'm making a bolder choice. It is an Australian card. I have one shirt that represents like somebody from Australia, and it's not a color I typically wear. So, I'm gonna get a little bold tonight. So stay tuned.
I love it. I'm so excited for the watch party. That's how you tease the watch party, guys.
Over under on pay-per-view buys, 500K.
Well, we'll never know. We're never gonna know. I think under. I think like 450 to 4 is probably what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I think this will do well, but I don't think it's doing 500K.
It's gonna do more than the like baseline 3, but I don't think 5's gonna hit.
Yeah.
It's going to be better than the last two. That's for sure.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Very probably.
This is fun.
Who do you think you'll be sitting at the post show praising the most? Well, Jed, we already know what you're going to say, but you might be praising yourself.
Praising himself, yeah.
No. It'll be Islam Makhachev, because we'll just all be like, damn, dude. Those guys are really good. Abdul Manap knew what the hell he was doing.
Well, let's take those two guys off the table. Let's take Makhachev and Volk off the table, because obviously whoever wins that fight is going to get the praise, especially if Volkanovski wins.
That's
if Makhachev wins,
true.
He's going to get his flowers too. So outside of those two guys, Jed, who do you think we're going to be singing praises towards more than anybody else?
My guess is... Oh, that's a really tough call. I don't honestly have a great feel. Like, I don't have a strong pick towards almost any fight on this card other than the main event. Like, I have leans. I think this guy's probably going to win, but it's like, I would assume that if we're taking the main card off, or the main fight, then the co-main would be the one who we're going to be like, oh, Yair Rodriguez is like, has a belt of some validity and had a great performance, but it also wouldn't totally shock me if Josh Emmett laid on him for 25 minutes.
What do you think, Casey?
I think Yair Rodriguez. I think that's the guy we're going to be like, all right, this is the guy we've been kind of imagining for a few years, and then it finally showed up tonight. Now, are we going to praise him enough with his performance, and we're going to go, oh, this guy's going to give Volkanovski a really tough run, depending out. I don't know. I mean, is there anything that can happen? Well, basically, I was going to ask, is there anything that can happen in the co-main event where that will kind of change your prediction for when they fight Volkanovski?
Yes. If Emmett comes aggressively looking to wrestle and gets nowhere with it, I would still probably pick Volkanovski, but Yair becomes a much more interesting opponent for him if he has gotten his defensive wrestling to, which he hasn't, because like he didn't have great defensive wrestling ever. But if he somehow just lights out with it, then that fight against Alex becomes a lot more interesting. Yeah. He's really dynamic on the feet in a way that Alex, can and probably would beat, but also would struggle. And if he doesn't have the back pocket of, I can take him down and go this way, that fight gets tricky.
Yep. Yair is, it's going to be tough because Yair is much better in the cage fighting people than he is with a microphone in his face. And usually he says things that make no sense. And they usually don't ever happen for him, ever. So as long as he can just be like, hey, Volk, whenever you're ready, let's go. And just keep it simple, I think he'll be all right. But oftentimes he'll be like, I ain't fighting anybody for the rest of my life unless it's Volkanovski. I don't care how long I have to wait. Even if Volk wins the lightweight title, he has tendencies to say things that are just kind of nonsensical that we kind of nitpick. So it's a bold pick, but I feel like it's going to be an Aussie. And I'm going to say Jimmy Crute. I'm going to say Jimmy Crute's going to be the guy because I'm picking him to win by submission in this fight against Alonzo Menifield, and there's a very good chance I'm wrong in this one, that he just gets knocked.
You're either right or you're way wrong. It's gonna be quick one way or the other.
But if that happens, with everything he's gone through, the injuries, the surgeries, being in Perth, the reaction he's going to get, and he's pretty good on the mic, he could be the guy that has a humongous stock boost tonight if he has a great performance and then kills it in front of the fans, because they're going to treat him like he's a big star if he goes out there and wins tonight. So I'm gonna take a bold choice and go with him.
I like it. Going out on a limb.
All right. Actually, I don't know the answer to this one because I don't really care about USADA that much.
Noticing a few fighters have been making their UFC debut on few days/weeks notice. What happened to the 6-month USADA testing pool?
How does that?
I don't know that that's works. Has that ever been part of debuting fighters? I'm not sure that it has.
It's only
because this has been going on forever.
Contract, yeah, you have to be under contract, like the whole Connor thing, basically.
Yeah, once you're in and you leave, you can't come back unless you do 6 months, unless the UFC drops the waives that, and they could do it I don't remember what the number was, but they did it obviously for Brock Lesnar, and that.
Well, they can do it whenever they want. Well. The UFC can just
they can do unlimited.
It's not. Yeah, they can say it's not. Though I think the only requirement last I read it was you still have to have 2 clean tests before fighting, but the UFC can just be like, nah, we're good. They can sort of waive whatever they want because of course they can. They are paying USADA. USADA is not an official regulatory body that they pay USADA to do this. So they can be like, F off, guys. We don't need you on this one.
Interesting.
USADA is a scam.
Yeah, I thought there was some kind of set number. You're going to do once or twice a year or something. But I don't know.
I would be really shocked if that was the case because why?
Is it like
that would hurt
grab?
USADA?
You get 1 or 2 fence grabs. You get 1 or 2 USADA. You can kind of waive your USADA rules twice a year. Is that?
I mean, they haven't been doing it.
I don't know. I don't know the rules. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
To the UFC's credit, they haven't been doing it, but I just don't know why. That rule would actively hurt USADA. You guys can't do this. We're breaking the contract. Cool. We'll spend our $200 million elsewhere. I'm sorry you lost all this business.
Yeah, but how many times has this come up though?
What do you mean?
Very rarely.
Oh, they never do it. Credit to the UFC in that they seem to have some, moral imperative not to, but I'm pretty sure they can just do whatever they want in this regard.
Yeah, they could do it for Conor right now and have him fight in July if they wanted to, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do it.
Yeah, no. The only time they're going to do it because it doesn't matter whether Conor fights in July or in October. The only time they've done it before was they needed a main event for 200. That was it, and it was we don't have anything else. Okay, here it is. So if 300 comes around and 3 fights drop off, they'll for sure do it if they have to. But the rest of the time, it's just why they don't need to.
Who does USADA work for outside the UFC? What I don't follow enough sports.
Other sports organizations, I think, employ them.
Who does the drug testing for the NBA? I don't know.
I frankly have no idea if the NBA does drug test.
Oh, okay.
I would assume that if they do, it is not extensive.
Yeah.
Will Randy Brown's length and long kicks lead him to victory versus Jack Della Maddalena? And I think we're all in agreement that the betting line on this fight is much wider than it should be. but I am still picking JDM to win. Anybody picking Randy Brown to win for this at all? And if so, is it for this reason?
I am not, but I do have a bet on Randy Brown by submission at plus 1200. It's not really the length because JDM's boxing is really, really good. The kicks will be a good weapon for him, but Randy Brown is like a pretty good grappler. And the length of his arms make him very dangerous, threatening chokes in scrambles and exchanges on the floor. So I don't think the length from boxing is an issue. The kicks will be a good weapon, but I could see something funky happening in engagements and tie-ups because Randy Brown has a lot of physical tools.
Yeah, Randy Brown on a 4-fight win streak. His last loss to Vicente Luque back in 2020. So, this fight felt perfect. This fight feels perfect for both gentlemen.
100%. 100%.
The placement of the card, like this, it's like, oh, perfect. This fight makes sense.
100%. And JDM could be very well a name that either of these guys could be a name that we're praising a lot.
Yeah. If Randy Brown just smokes JDM, on the feet especially, I think we might go, oh, okay, never mind. It was Randy Brown that finally kind of hit that stride that we kind of we saw at the beginning. Sometimes, he had some, he faced some good fighters and lost, so maybe he's just finally hitting that stride, So I know all the momentum right now seems to be JDM, but there's a lot of star power right out there for Randy Brown to grab tonight.
I agree. I do think that the guy we'll be talking about the most on this card will be the winner of this one, whoever that is. I'm just not super confident in who's going to win it.
Yeah. This will be JDM's toughest opponent, correct? I can't.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I still think fairly highly of Ramazan Ameev, but Randy Brown is probably a better opponent than Ramazan Ameev.
Yeah, overall.
And I think the Ameev fight was on short notice. Am I wrong about that? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
The Pete Rodriguez one was definitely on short notice. That was on less than a week's notice.
Yeah, maybe I'm just conflating those two. Maybe he was set to fight Ameev the whole time. But, this is probably his best opponent. If not, it's certainly his second best.
Trying to stay away from the what if questions. Because we'll save those for post fight.
Are any of you guys watching the broadcast?
I don't have it up.
Okay, I don't either. So if someone wants to pull it up,
let me pull it up. Yeah. I'll pull it up while you fix your stuff, Case.
Yeah.
How in the holy hell is Zubaira still on the UFC roster? It's honestly impressive. I mean, golly, man. I just don't. I don't. I think even if he wins tonight, his job is in jeopardy, right? I mean, I know, how many favors has this man gotten at this point? So many. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Coming in.
He's still friends with the lightweight champ. That helps.
Was this fight always at 55 or because it's short notice? Do we have any idea? It was so low in the card. We just got no information on it.
I think it was always 55, but because I think Connor and I talked about this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because Joel Alvarez.
Also, so we're clear, it's not 155 either. It's 157 and a half now, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, sorry, Alvarez is a 55er. You're right. Yeah.
It's a great question though.
It's
one that's brought up a lot this week.
Has he ever fought on a card that doesn't involve Khabib or Islam? I feel like lately it's like he's just like one of the corner guys who just fights earlier in the card, basically.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I think it was scheduled to. But
the Felder Hooker fight card, no, neither of them were on it. Right, that's also weird that he was on that.
Yeah. He's
also, that was the last time they went to Auckland, and half of the fighters are on the same card. Kulabau, Smutchel is awesome, dope.
All right. I didn't want to really do any kind of what's next questions, but I think this is kind of interesting for Islam in particular. Because that's kind of why we're here.
Like, if Islam wins tonight, what is next for him? This is an interesting question because it could go a number of different ways, in my opinion. But there's what should happen, and then there's what probably will happen. It's kind of in that realm. So, Jed, put your matchmaking hat on. If Islam Makhachev does what you feel he's going to do tonight, who the hell does he fight next?
He's going to fight Beneil Dariush. I know that there's been talks about Dariush fighting Oliveira. I don't think that fight's confirmed yet. And I suspect that it is not locked in stone because if Volk wins, then that fight will need to take place because Volk's not going to fight Beneil Dariush. Come on. That's nonsense. But if it's not, Islam will fight him. Islam's not trying to wait to win the McGregor lottery. I actually think that there's a pretty strong case that even if McGregor beats Chandler, Islam wouldn't fight him. He might still do it if the UFC made it happen, but I don't think he would be like, I would like to fight this man. I don't think that team cares about Conor McGregor at all. So it's Beneil Dariush.
You agree, Casey? Because it seems like it seems like that fight. It seems like from what we're being told that fight with Oliveira is probably going to happen. I think it's just dotting the I's and signing the contracts.
Also, Elvis Brenner is making his way to the cage right now, guys.
All right. So we're good. We got time.
If Volkanovski never did the whole I want 2 belts, who would Islam be fighting tonight? Just say
Beneil Dariush.
Dariush,
yeah.
So yeah. Well, he probably wouldn't be fighting at Perth.
Well, it wouldn't be in Perth, maybe.
I think they would have waited they would have found something else for this, and they would have put Islam on the undercard of Jones Gone. I think that's kind of how they would have looked at it.
Yeah. And tonight would have been Volkanovski Emmett.
Yeah, actually, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Yair.
Yeah.
I agree. It should be Beneil Dariush 100%. And if Makhachev goes out there and just steamrolls Volk, they should just pull Beneil from that fight and just give him the title shot. But I honestly think that Dustin Poirier is in play here. I really do.
Could be.
I think he's in play. I'm actually leaning towards him right now.
Wouldn't shock me, but I don't know. I think they want to fight Beneil Dariush, which is insane because no one should want to fight that dude. But I really feels like Khabib and Islam are cut from a different cloth than most people, that they are not nearly as concerned with the financial aspects of this. They're doing quite well financially, but they want to fight the guys who are supposed to fight. They feel very meritocratic in it. And I don't know why, but like maybe it just is like Khabib spent 4 years being the best lightweight in the world and couldn't get a title fight because weird shit. And so, like, we never want to be a part of this again, but it really does feel like they want to try and pick the most deserving guy every time out.
Who was the last champion like that? But they were like
Khabib.
Well, before Khabib. What, I'm trying to remember Anderson Silva's run. Like when they,
Anderson.
I felt like was GSP kind of we're like
GSP.
We're almost bored with it because it wasn't really like. It felt like mandatories, like in boxing.
Well, and that's been my whole point leading up to this too. Like, and this is not necessarily a knock on Volkanovski, but I do think it is a statement of fact. And like, we as a fan base and the community at whole, it like has a lot of disdain for mandatory challengers. And I've always really appreciated them and think that they make a really important part of long reigning careers. But like Volkanovski that's my whole point has been Volkanovski could have done that. He could have been like, hey, I know that none of these guys have been like 8-fight win streak have to do it because, well, except for Arnold Allen, who has a 10-fight win streak or whatever, but he could just pick one and do it. And that is a more of an old school way of handling it, I think. Cause like that is how it used to be. I mean, Izzy is has been kind of that way too, to his credit.
Izzy,
Jared Cannonier, he just kind of elevated Jared Cannonier to title challenger because he was another top 5 guy that he never faced. And a lot of other fighters aren't that way anymore. And I get it, totally understand the financial implications to it, but I appreciate when we have fighters who are like that.
Yeah.
Like Demetrius, like all of the guys who have defended the belt like 20 times or whatever. Those were the guys who did
I would say Valentina.
Mm-hmm.
Valentina is one of those. Yeah. Just
Amanda Nunes, you know.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes, same way. Like she fought Juliana Pena. Lost as a result of it, but who's next? Just give me the next guy up. Let's set him up. I'll knock him down.
Yeah.
Both fighters are in the cage.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Both fighters are in the cage. We're doing announcements.
All right. Bonuses.
I'm with
Jed.
you, Casey. I also missed that.
Bonuses, Jed. What are we going to get?
Performance of the night is Makhachev. Fight of the night, Rodriguez Emmett. I do think that's going to have some fun back and forth. Second performance of the night, Alonzo Minifield.
Ooh.
Casey.
Performance, Islam. Fight of the night. Oh man. Fight of the night. I'm gonna go Yair Emmett, and other performance, Parker Porter.
I love it.
Love that energy.
Pac is on my short list. I'm gonna be very optimistic here, just because I want to see things happen. Fight of the night main event. Yair performance bonus, and I'm torn between Parker Porter and Jimmy Crute for the other one.
Oh, you gotta go Crute. You already backed him in a big way.
I got both winning by submission tonight, so I'll go Jimmy.
Oh, you have Parker Porter getting a finish. Good for you.
Yeah,
won't that be his first in the UFC?
Yep. That gas tank, baby. It's that gas tank.
It does. I have Parker Porter. I have a bet on Porter by decision.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry, bro. So you're picking Menifield. I'm picking Crute. Casey, who you're picking in the main card opener?
I'm going Jimmy Crute. I still believe. I'm a believer. I like Jimmy Crute.
Minifield first round KO.
Yeah, well, it could happen.
If Minifield's winning, he's knocking him out in the first round. If he's not, he's losing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough night. You're picking Parker Porter by decision, or is that just your bet?
No, I'm also picking it, but it is my bet because Parker Porter straight's like plus 100, by decision is plus like 350. He only has decision wins in the UFC. I don't understand that line.
Yeah, I just feel like he's got so much more experience than Justin Tafa and just fought just better guys.
Oh yeah, I think he's much better than Justin Tafa.
Yeah,
but
he's been around the block. He's been around the block a few times, so I'm picking Parker Porter by, I think, first round submission, either first or second.
You're coming out of the gates early.
Yeah, I'm picking Parker Porter by decision, and he will still win performance of the night because he's gracing us with 15 minutes of action.
Which is going to be fun because he's going to be like a bit. He's going to be like Marab Dvalishvili out there.
And they're going to be so sweaty. It's just going to be
great. My God. Randy Brown versus Jack Della Maddalena. I'm picking JDM by decision. I think this is going to be a very competitive fight. Casey.
JDM first round KO in a slobber knocker, but fun first round KO. Yeah. Not dominant. Maybe he'll get KO, but it's gonna be wild.
Jed?
I'm also going first round KO. I don't know that I believe it, but I'm just gonna keep picking JDM first round KO until that no longer happens, and then I can make a different pick. But just ride the train.
All right, let's end this quickly. Anybody picking Josh Emmett?
I really wanted to, but I've picked Yair to level up and get a fourth round TKO.
I got third round KO. I got third round TKO.
Going second.
All right, there you go.
Second round.
I got Makhachev by decision. It seems like both you guys are picking Islam by finish. Jed, you're saying this is
sub round 2. Yeah. I think the first round is going to be a classic Islam Habib round of dominance and just smashing him, and then round 2. Pick him up, put him down. Let's finish this one.
Casey?
Submission, Makhachev, round 3.
Round 3. All right. You can hit the music. We're done. Fights are underway. I'm heading across the street to hang out with my man GC and get ready for the watch party, baby.
Yeah.
I got 9:45 p.m. Eastern. We have special guests. Shaheen Al-Shadi makes his return to the watch party for the first time since, I believe, UFC 281. So he'll join us for the co-main event. New York Rick back for the main event. There's going to be food and Vegemite, apparently, and a very festive set.
Have you ever had Vegemite?
Never.
Oh, it's terrible. Enjoy.
I've heard. But there's Timmy Tams or Tim Tams, whatever they're
Tim
called.
Tams are awesome.
Tim Tams are
Tim
good.
Tams rule.
Vegemite, not good.
Vegemite's trash.
9:45, everybody. Enjoy the fights, everybody. We'll see you at 9:45.
Let's go, Makhachev. Love you guys.